So authorities raided several restaurant locations in Arizona and Alabama earlier this week. Investigators say owners Robert and Brenda Clouston conspired with two of their employees to hire undocumented migrants.
America, we just uncovered one of the most brazen schemes to exploit illegal workers and defraud the American taxpayer. Robert and Brenda Clouston, the husband and wife owners of a popular Colt barbecue chain, have been arrested for running a decades-long criminal enterprise that systematically fired American workers and replaced them with cheaper illegal immigrants. They created a fake cleaning company to hide their crimes and pocket hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent government benefits. But here's what's going to make your blood boil. Federal prosecutors say Robert Clouston actually ordered recruiters to specifically target Mexican nationals because they would work for less money than Americans. This wasn't cutting corners. This was organized crime disguised as barbecue.
Learning more about why the owners of a popular barbecue chain up in northern Arizona have found themselves in federal custody. The husband and wife owners of Colt Grill are accused of hiring illegal migrant workers for profit.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Now, remember, I briefly mentioned the Colt Grill during our PPP loan fraud investigation that raided restaurants across Alabama. If you haven't checked out that video, it'll be somewhere on the screen. Well, we just got the full federal indictment, and this Arizona case makes that Alabama operation look like child's play.
12 News journalist Sean Rice is in studio tonight. And Sean, we're told that this was a 3-year investigation that's just now coming to a head.
Yeah, we saw the arrest of those owners yesterday. We didn't know much about the investigation. We know a lot more now.
This 3-year Homeland Security investigation uncovered what they're calling a criminal ecosystem that stretched across 2 states and involved human trafficking, money laundering, and systematic exploitation of both illegal workers and American taxpayers. Let me break down this massive operation that federal agents have been tracking since 2022. The Cloustons operated 4 Colt Grill locations in Arizona: Cottonwood, Prescott Valley, Prescott, and Sedona, plus one in Foley, Alabama. But they weren't just running restaurants.
Homeland Security investigations say they've been looking into criminal activity inside the doors of 5 Colt Grill locations since 2022. The owners, Robert and Brenda Clouston, are accused of creating a scheme to employ migrant workers at their restaurants, pay them no overtime, and less than minimum wage.
Working with them were Luis Pedro Raro James, 33 years old, and Iris Romero Molino, 29 years old, both Mexican nationals illegally presented in the United States and resided in Cottonwood. These 4 created what the federal indictment describes as a sophisticated scheme to bypass federal employment laws. Here's the genius part about their scam. They created a fake cleaning company called R&R AZ Cleaning LLC that operated as a staffing company for the Colt Grill restaurants. This allowed them to pay workers below minimum wage, avoid overtime payments, and dodge employment taxes while keeping the payments separate from the main Colt Grill business.
The 10-page indictment says the Cloustons intentionally sought to bypass a federal employment system called E-Verify. That's a system that business owners are required to use to check if prospective employees have eligibility to work legally.
They intentionally bypassed E-Verify, the federal system that business owners are required to use to check if employees can legally work in the United States. This wasn't oversight or a mistake. This was deliberate criminal activity. You know, speaking of systems that are supposed to protect people but end up being confusing and overwhelming, if you're 65 or older, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to Medicare. Just like these business owners exploit complex employment systems, there are plenty of people in the Medicare world trying to take advantage of seniors who don't understand all the rules and options. This is exactly why I want to tell you about Chapter. They're completely different. Chapter connects you with trusted advisors who actually fight for you, not the insurance companies. No pushy sales tactics. They don't steer you towards plans that benefit them, just straight talk to help you find the Medicare coverage that actually fits your needs and your budget. Here's what I love about Chapter. Their advisors take the time to understand your situation, explain everything in plain English, and help you make the right choice for your circumstances. Whether you're new to Medicare or thinking about switching plans, they'll walk you through it step by step. If you want somebody who actually has your back when it comes to Medicare, call 270-467-0614 or go to askchapter.org/Tyson. TYSON. That's askchapter.org/TYSON. Don't let the system take advantage of you. Get the help that you deserve. Now back to how these restaurant owners betrayed American workers. According to prosecutors, Robert Colston didn't just hire illegal workers, he actively directed his recruiters to fire U.S. citizens and replace them with undocumented workers, specifically Mexican nationals who work for a lower wage. Former federal prosecutor Josh Kaus explained the financial incentives. The businesses won't have to pay the appropriate taxes on those wages, so they're saving money in two different fronts, one with payroll and the second with taxes with the U.S. and the state governments.
The business won't have to pay the appropriate taxes. So they're saving money in two different fronts. One with payroll, and the second with taxes with the U.S. and state governments. So that there's a lot of financial incentives to try to cheat the government in this aspect.
Think about this. American workers were literally being fired and replaced with illegal immigrants who could be exploited for cheaper labor. This is exactly what President Trump has been talking about when he says illegal immigration hurts American workers. The fake cleaning company allowed them to pay some workers well below minimum wage, often cash, potentially shielding the payments from the main Colt Grill business and avoiding proper tax reporting. The federal agents moved in and they didn't mess around. Coordinated raids hit all 5 locations simultaneously, 4 in Arizona, 1 in Alabama. The FBI, ICE, the Department of Labor, and IRS all worked together on this operation.
Court documents detail how they bought several properties to house the migrants and then cars to take them to and from work.
During the raids, they also detained 20 people working for the Colt Grill locations on immigrant violations. They weren't just employment violations. Federal agents found evidence of human smuggling and trafficking.
We're just shocked that this is happening.
Hungry customers walked away disappointed from Colt Grill in Prescott and Prescott Valley Tuesday morning.
So sad, so very sad. One of our favorite places.
Customers were shocked, but what they didn't know is that their favorite barbecue joint was built on the foundation of criminal activity and worker exploitation.
When they dropped in yesterday at 11 o'clock, I have no doubt that Colt Enterprises were caught with their pants down, so to speak.
Former federal prosecutor Josh Colesrud knows what goes into prosecuting a case just like the one against the owners of Colt Grill.
Former prosecutor Josh Klaus said the Cloustons were caught with their pants down when federal agents showed up at 11 a.m. After 3 years of investigation, they had no idea that this was coming. Now, after diving deep in the story, I got to tell you guys something. I've actually been to this Prescott location several years ago, so I decided to do some digging and look up their Yelp reviews to see what people were saying. Looking at the reviews, you can see a pattern what makes a lot of sense now. Lots of people were praising the food, but several reviewers mentioned things were actually red flags. Multiple people noted that staff seemed to change pretty frequently, and some mentioned communication issues with employees. Makes me wonder the working conditions. Now we know why. They were constantly cycling through illegal workers, firing American citizens who might complain about working conditions, and exploit people who couldn't report violations because of their immigration status. What looked like a successful local business was actually a criminal operation hiding in plain sight. The 4 defendants face serious federal charges that could result in decades in prison: conspiracy to transport illegal aliens, conspiracy to harbor illegal aliens, conspiracy to encourage and induce an alien to unlawfully enter the United States, and pattern and practice of knowingly employing unauthorized aliens. The Colstons appeared in federal court in Flagstaff and will remain in federal custody until a detention hearing on Monday. But here's what makes this case even more serious. This wasn't just employment violations.
And Sean joins us now. And Sean, there are a lot of moving parts to this, but the one that intrigues me is differentiating between human smuggling and hiring and employing people who are here illegally.
Yeah.
In this case, it's both, right?
It is both.
As the reporter explained, in this case, it was both employment violations and human smuggling. The Colstons hired Rarel Rimes and Romeo Molina specifically to facilitate bringing people across the border to work for their restaurants. That's actively participating in human trafficking. The restaurant filed a WARN notice on Wednesday announcing 200 employees will be laid off. That's 200 jobs lost because the owners chose to run a criminal enterprise instead of a legitimate business. This case is part of Operation Take Back America, the Justice Department's nationwide initiative to fight illegal immigration and criminal networks that profit from it. County Sheriff David Rhodes says coordinating multi-agency enforcement actions like this one are essential to protecting our communities and destabilizing the impact of organized crime. Think about the ripple effects here. 200 people lost their jobs, customers losing a restaurant that they love, a community losing tax revenue, and American workers who were systematically discriminated against in favor of exploitable illegal labor. The Cloustons could have ran a legitimate business, hired American workers legally, paid proper wages and taxes, and still been successful. Instead, they chose to build their empire on criminal activity and worker exploitation. America, this Colt Grill case perfectly connects our Alabama PPP fraud story and shows how these criminal networks operate nationwide. What looked like a successful barbecue chain with good Yelp reviews was actually a sophisticated criminal operation that systematically discriminated against American workers. The Cloustons didn't just hire illegal workers, they actively fired American citizens to replace them with cheaper exploitable labor. They created fake companies to hide their crimes, bypassed federal employment verification systems, and participated in human trafficking to maintain their supply of exploitable workers. This is exactly why President Trump's immigration enforcement is so critical. These weren't victimless crimes. American workers lose jobs, communities lose tax revenue, and illegal immigrants get exploited by criminals who see them as disposable labor. The good news is that Operation Take Back America is exposing these networks and holding criminals accountable. When business owners choose to exploit illegal workers instead of hiring Americans legally, when they create fake companies to hide their crimes, when they participate in human trafficking, there are serious federal consequences. The 200 employees who lost their jobs are the real victims here, along with the American workers who were systematically discriminated against and the illegal workers who were exploited by this criminal network. This case shows that the criminal networks we exposed in Alabama are part of a much larger pattern of organized crime hiding behind legitimate businesses. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.